following day, Ryan and Jimin met up at the observatory once more. They spent the afternoon stargazing, laughing, and sharing stories about their lives. Despite her father's warning, Ryan couldn't help but feel an overwhelming sense of happiness and contentment in Jimin's presence. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow across the city, she leaned into him, resting her head on his shoulder. "I've never felt this way about anyone before," she confessed softly. "You make me feel so alive." Jimin wrapped his arm around her, pulling her closer. "I feel the same way," he whispered, his heart racing. "You're everything to me, Ryan. I'll always be here for you." They shared their love for each other growing stronger with every passing moment. Later that night, as they at her mansion, Ryan couldn't help but worry about what her father would say when he found out about them. She knew that their relationship was, but she couldn't bring herself to give Jimin up. "I don't know what to do, Jimin," she confessed, her voice trembling. "I love you so much, but I don't want to hurt my father." Jimin stroked her hair gently, trying to comfort her. "We'll figure something out, Ryan. We have to. We can't let anyone tear us apart." He leaned in, warm and reassuring. "Together, we can face anything." Ryan felt a surge of hope at his words, and as they held each other close, she knew that somehow they would find a way to make their love work, no matter the obstacles. The next morning, Ryan's father arrived at the mansion unannounced. As soon as he saw Jimin, his expression turned cold and disapproving. "What is he doing here?" he demanded, his voice dripping with, "You can't possibly be serious about this relationship." Ryan took a deep breath, trying to remain calm despite her father's anger. "Dad, I know you don't want me to see him, but I love him. Jimin isn't just some poor boy. He's the man I want to spend the rest of my life with." She looked at Jimin, her eyes filled with determination. "I won't give up on us." Her father's face turned red with rage, and he took a step closer to Jimin. "You're not good enough for her," he said. "She deserved better than some nobody from the streets." Jimin's hands clenched into fists at his sides, but he remained silent, meeting Ryan's father's gaze defiantly. The tension in the air was palpable as they faced off, each one refusing to back down. Finally, Ryan's father seemed to regain some of his composure. "Fine," he said, his voice barely above a growl. "But if you insist on seeing him, you'll do it on my terms. You'll marry him and then you'll both live in his cottage for the rest of your lives." He turned to Jimin, a smile on his face. "What do you say, son? Does that sound like a fair deal to you?" Jimin's eyes widened in surprise at the proposal, but he didn't hesitate. "Yes," he said firmly, taking Vian's hand in his. I would marry you, Vian. I love you and I'll always be here for you, no matter what. Vian smiled at her father. A sense of relief washed over her. Thank you, Dad. I promise that I'll make you proud. She turned to Jimin, her eyes shining with love. And Jimin, I'll make sure that we have a wonderful life together, no matter what obstacles we face. Her father's expression softened slightly, but he didn't look completely satisfied. Very well. I want you to know that this is the only concession I'm making. If you insist on going through with this, you'll have to live with the consequences. With that, he turned and left the room, leaving Vian and Jimin alone together. They embraced tightly, tears of joy streaming down their faces. Despite the uncertain future that lay ahead, they were together, and that was all that mattered to them. As they held each other close, they made a promise to each other, a vow to face whatever challenges came their way, as long as they had each other. Vian smiled as she stepped into Jimin's humble cottage, her heart full of love and anticipation. This was their new life together, and despite the challenges they knew they'd face, she couldn't help but feel an overwhelming sense of happiness. She looked around the cozy little home, taking in the simple but well-kept furnishings and the warm, inviting atmosphere. It's perfect, Jimin, she said, turning to him. I love it here. He smiled back at her, his eyes shining with affection. I'm glad you like it. I wanted it to feel like our home. He took her hand in his and led her over to the small kitchen table. I made breakfast. I hope you like eggs. She laughed, feeling her stomach growl in response. I love eggs. You're the best husband ever. He blushed, his cheeks turning red as he beamed at her. They spent the rest of the day unpacking her things and making the cottage their own. They talked about their dreams for the future, about the things they wanted to accomplish together, and about the adventure they would go on. Despite the obstacle they faced, they were determined to make their love work, and their new life together was a testament to that. As the sun began to set, they sat together on the porch, watching the stars come out and listening to the sounds of the forest around them. Jimin took her hand in his, their fingers intertwining, and she knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, hand in hand. I love you, Vian, he whispered, his eyes never leaving hers. Always. She smiled, leaning in to him softly. And I love you, Jimin. Forever. And with that, they sealed their vow. Veda, their love stronger than any obstacle that could come between them. One month after their wedding, Vian's face lit up with a glow that even Jimin couldn't quite place at first. It wasn't until she announced that she was pregnant that he realized what was happening. He was overjoyed, his heart filled with a love so immense that it felt like it was bursting from his chest. "Oh my gosh, Ryan, I can't believe it!" he exclaimed, wrapping his arms around her and squeezing her tightly. "We are going to be parents!" Ryan laughed, her face flushed with excitement. "I know, isn't it just the most amazing thing? I feel so lucky and so in love with you." She leaned in, and their love for each other only growing stronger in that moment. They spent the rest of the day talking about their dreams for their child, making plans for the nursery, and imagining all the wonderful memories they would create as a family. Vine awoke and saw her phone, the weight of her father's illness pressing down on her chest like an anchor. She turned to Jimin, his face etched with concern. "What is it, love?" he asked softly, reaching out to stroke her cheek. Tears welled in her eyes as she struggled to find the words. "My father, he's not doing well." Jimin's heart sank at the news. "Oh, Ryan, I'm so sorry. I'm here for you, no matter what." She nodded, wiping away a tear, and buried her face in his chest, taking comfort in his warmth and strength. "I just need to be with him, Jimin. I need to go home." He held her close, his heart aching for both of them. "Of course, my love, we'll figure something out. We'll get through this together." And they did, with love and determination as their guiding light. They faced the challenges that came their way, never losing sight of the bond that united them. As Mayan spent time with her father, her heart ached at the thought of losing him, but she was grateful for the time they had together. Her father, who had once been so against their relationship, had come to accept Jimin and see him as a son. One day, while she was visiting, her father called her aside. His voice was weak, but his words were clear. "I want you to know, Ryan, that I've given the bakery to Jimin. He deserves it. He's the good man and he'll take care of it for you." Tears filled her eyes as she hugged her father tightly. "Thank you, Dad. I love you." He squeezed her back, his grip strong despite his failing strength. Ryan returned to Jimin, her heart full of bittersweet emotion. "My father wanted me to tell you. He gave the bakery to you. He said you deserve it and that you'll take care of it for me." Jimin's eyes widened in surprise, then filled with tears. "Thank you, Ryan. Thank you so much. I promise to take care of it and to make sure we have a good life together." They clung to each other, tears streaming down their faces as they walked to face whatever challenges came their way. time passed and Wyan's father's health continued to decline. The day finally came, surrounded by his family. As they mourned his loss, Wyan felt a renewed determination to honor his memory. "We're going to make something beautiful out of this, Jimin. For my father and for our family, together we'll make the bakery thrive. And we'll create a life that he would be proud of." He nodded, wiping away a tear, and wrapped his arms around her. "I love you, Wyan. I'm in this with you, no matter what." And so, with the support of their loved ones and the unwavering strength of their love, they set to work revitalizing the bakery. They brought new recipes, modernized the storefront, and made sure to keep their father's legacy alive in every pastry they baked. The community rallied around them, offering their support and praising the delicious treats that came out of the shop. Slowly but surely, the bakery began to thrive once more. And with each passing day, they could feel their father's spirit smiling down on them. As they worked together side by side, they couldn't help but feel a renewed sense of purpose and joy. They had faced the worst that life could throw at them, and they had come out stronger on the other side. The day finally arrived, and Wyan gave birth to a healthy baby boy. As they gazed down at their son, tears filled their eyes and their hearts swelled with love. They named him after Wyan's father, honoring his memory and continuing their family legacy. As they held their child close, they knew that they would face whatever challenges came their way together, just as they had before. To get your attention, girl, 나 준비됐어. 어디든 괜찮아, 갈 곳을 정해서 그녀와 둘이서 재밌게 놀았다가도